I flew 2,000 miles and paid $12,400 to be my brother's best man. But minutes before the ceremony, he said, "You're bad luck. Mark's doing it instead." I nodded, walked outside, and handed his fiancée the letter he wrote me last year. She threw her bouquet at his face. The guests started screaming, and I quietly canceled the $4,200 venue payment as I walked away. "You shouldn't be in the photos," my brother said, adjusting his cufflinks like he hadn't just punched me in the chest with his voice. "You're kind of bad luck, you know." I blinked at him. We were in the groom's suite. 45 minutes to the ceremony. I was supposed to stand beside him, hand him the ring, toast the couple, smile for pictures. I'd flown 2,000 miles and dropped over $12 just to be here: suit rental, hotel block, flight, gifts, even helping cover some venue costs because he was stressed. And now I was being replaced by Mark, his best friend from college who once puked in the punch bowl at our cousin's quinceañera and called it a power move. I'm bad luck. I asked quietly. He didn't even look up. It's not personal. I just feel like things go sideways when you're involved. Every time, man. So Mark's stepping in. I didn't argue. Didn't make a scene. I just nodded, walked past the rows of designer suits and monogrammed flasks, opened the door to the bridal suite, and handed his fiancée the letter. The one he wrote me last year. The one where he confessed everything. 5 seconds later, she screamed. 12 seconds later, her bouquet hit him square in the face. Yes stood, whispers turning to shouts. And me? I turned around and walked toward the lobby, pulled out my phone, and canceled the $4,200 venue payment I had quietly covered on his behalf the week before. The look on his face when the event coordinator whispered that in his ear. I didn't even need to see it. I felt it. But let's back up. Let me tell you how it came to this. I should have known when he asked me to cover part of the rehearsal dinner bill. It started with a call 4 months ago. Jake, my brother, sounded more human than usual. Said he missed me. Said he wanted me to be best man. That it was time we got close again. I hadn't spoken to him in almost a year. I should have said no. But I said yes. Like I always do. He told me I'd need to fly out to Tampa. That it would mean the world to him if I came early and helped with logistics. Then came the requests. Could I spot him $600 for a tux deposit? Could I handle the groomsmen gift boxes just until the honeymoon? Could I pay for the photographer's extra hours because Jess's family bailed on that part? It added up fast. Then came the venue. I wasn't even supposed to be involved with the venue. But one night, after I'd already transferred over $2,800 for other stuff, he called me in a panic. Something about a failed wire from Jess's parents, something about losing their date. "I'll pay you back after the wedding," he said. I covered the $4,200 venue deposit. That was on top of my own travel, flight, hotel, rental car, and time off work a full week. My total out of pocket, $12,400. I calculated it in the airport bathroom while waiting for my bag. Still, I told myself it was worth it. He was my brother. He even wrote me a letter, mailed it, old school, saying how much it meant to him. Said I was the only person he ever looked up to. Said he regretted all the years we drifted apart. I taped that letter to my fridge for a month like an fool. And yet, from the moment I arrived, I could feel it shifting. Jess's family greeted me warmly. Her dad even called me the responsible one. But my own brother, he barely looked me in the eye. The groomsmen joked around me but never with me. One even said, "So you're the checkbook." I laughed like it was funny. It wasn't. The first real punch came at the welcome dinner. My brother stood up to give a toast and said, "Into my best man, the real MVP of this whole thing, Mark, bro, you've been with me through it all." Everyone clapped. I froze. He hadn't told me. No text. No call. Nothing. I was supposed to be the best man. It was in the email. It was in the itinerary. I waited until dessert. Pulled him aside. Asked him what was going on. He said, "Relax. It's just for the toast. You're still walking in with me." It's fine. It wasn't fine. Especially not after I heard Mark talking that night, drunk, saying, I told Jake he should have never asked his brother. Guy's got bad juju. You've seen the texts. Texts? What texts? That's when I started digging, and I found them. He left his phone in the bridal suite when I dropped off some printed name cards. It buzzed. Curiosity got the better of me. There was a thread labeled Crisis Control, Mark plus Jake. And I swear to God, the first message I read was from Jake himself. If he finds out, I'll spin it. He always folds. He wants family. He won't burn it all. There were dozens of messages like that. Plans. Mockery. Even a screenshot of my bank transfer labeled Daddy Wallet strikes again. I took photos of everything. And just when I thought it couldn't get lower, I saw the message that broke something inside me. Jess still doesn't know about the Vegas thing. If he opens his mouth, we silence him. Vegas thing. I remembered that trip. I wasn't invited. Turns out, Jess didn't know either. And she was about to marry a man who'd cheated on her, lied to her, and then asked me to bankroll the wedding. I wanted to explode, but I didn't. I smiled through the next day, helped load centerpieces, helped Aunt Clara find her shoe, handed Jake a single breath mint before the rehearsal photos, all while the letter he wrote me sat folded in my jacket pocket. Along with the screenshots and a printed photo of Jake, half naked, kissing someone very much not Jess, in front of a casino that left a digital timestamp burned into the metadata. He had no idea I had it, but she was about to. The ceremony was set for 5 p.m. at 4:47. Jake told me I wasn't best man anymore. You're bad luck, he said, like he was ordering takeout. Mark's doing it instead. I nodded. Didn't blink. Didn't fight. I turned and walked out of the groom's suite, crossed the marble corridor of the Venue Hotel, past the florals, past the planner on her headset, past the fake smiles of the groomsmen who had no idea what was coming. Jess was in the bridal lounge. Her maid of honor, Chelsea, stopped me at the door, but Jess saw me and waved me in. You okay? She asked, frowning at my face. I have something for you, I said, pulling the letter from my pocket. It wasn't just a letter anymore. It had the original ink on one side, his pathetic emotional confessional, and on the back, printed in crisp black ink. Screenshots, quotes, dates, one photo, the photo. She looked at the first line, then the next, and then she stopped breathing. The air left her lungs like a vacuum had opened. She didn't scream at first. She didn't cry. She didn't say a word. She simply stood up, bouquet in hand, walked out of the bridal lounge with silent fury. I followed, 10 steps behind. The string quartet was halfway through Can't Help Falling in Love. Guests were seated. Phones out. Cameras ready. Jess walked down the aisle alone, not to meet Jake, to end him. She marched straight to the altar right as Jake turned to face her, his dumb nervous grin already spreading. She stopped 3 feet in front of him, held up the letter. Is this what you wrote to your brother last year? She asked, voice loud, steady, every syllable cutting glass. Jake's face collapsed. He reached out, stammering, babe, it's not what it. She threw the bouquet hard right at his face. Gasps, then silence, then chaos. The petals exploded like shrapnel. Jess stepped back, turned to the crowd, and said, ladies and gentlemen, the wedding is off. The men you're here to celebrate cheated on me, bragged about it, took money from his brother to pay for this charade, and lied to me for months. Oh, and Mark knew too. Mark, standing next to Jake in a rented tux, looked like he'd swallowed a bee. He tried to mumble something, but someone in the front row yelled, you knew. Then the screaming started. Guests yelling. Someone knocked over a chair. One of Jess's aunts fainted. A kid started crying. Jake just stood there, bouquet petals on his lapel, hands shaking like he couldn't compute the moment. That's when I walked up. Come. Measured. You told her I was bad luck, I said. But you forgot who was holding the receipt. He turned to me, face ghost white. I'll pay you back, he mumbled. I laughed. Oh no. You won't. But you will explain to the guests why the $4,200 venue payment just got canceled. He blinked. What? I held up my phone. One click. One confirmation. Booking successfully canceled. Refund processed. Good luck covering the next hour, I said. They bill in full. Then I turned to the crowd. My name is Owen. I'm the groom's brother. I flew 2,000 miles and paid $12,000 to be best man. Last year, Jake wrote me a letter saying I was the only family he could count on. Today, he replaced me with Mark because he thought I'd stay quiet. I'm not quiet anymore. Jess's mom started clapping. Others joined in. Jake looked like a broken robot, twitching and rebooting. That's when Jess picked up the mic meant for vows and said, and for the record, Jake, Vegas wasn't a blackout night. You were recorded. Hotel lobby cam. I called them yesterday. His knees buckled. He sat down on the edge of the platform like a kid who'd lost at dodgeball. Then, the final blow. From the back of the room, my dad, who hadn't said a word the whole weekend, stood up and said, loud enough for everyone, I warned you. You lie like your uncle and end up just as lonely. Jake looked up at him like a drowning man reaching for a rope, but the rope was already burning. I didn't leave. I didn't get on a plane, didn't pack a bag, didn't run. I stayed in the same hotel, in the same city, just across the street from the venue where my brother's wedding went down in a screaming heap of broken promises, thrown flowers, in public disgrace. The difference? Nobody had access to me anymore. An hour after the ceremony collapsed, Jake called once, then again, and again. Then came the messages. Can we talk? This went too far. You didn't have to do that. You ruined everything. I didn't answer. I sat in a quiet cafe with no music, just the sound of espresso machines and murmured conversations, and typed out a formal letter. 3 pages. Precise. Legal. Cold. Withdrawal of sponsorship. Revocation of outstanding obligations. Cancellation of contributions toward videography, catering overages, and honeymoon upgrades. Everything that had my name on it, dead, null, and void. I sent a copy to the venue, to the wedding planner, and to Jess's parents. I wasn't going to let anyone pretend I had anything to do with what followed. I wasn't just stepping away. I was erasing myself from the wreckage. 6 hours later, Jess's mother called me directly. I don't know the full story, she said. But I saw the paperwork. The receipts. And now I know why Jess didn't say a word this morning. Thank you for not letting her marry him. She didn't sound angry. She sounded like someone who'd just realized her house was built on rotting wood. Later that night, the rest of my family started to panic. Mom called me 17 times. Then she sent a voice message, 3 minutes long, sobbing into the phone. How could you? He's your brother. You destroyed the happiest day of his life. What are you trying to prove? That you're better than him. That we never loved you enough. This isn't how family handles things. I didn't listen to the rest. Then Dad texted me. Never thought you'd humiliate your own blood like this. Coming from a man who once told me I was a failed investment, I didn't exactly lose sleep over it. But the most ridiculous message came from Mark at 3 a.m. We messed up. Let's talk. This can still be fixed. Jake's ready to say sorry. Fixed. I forwarded the message to Jess. She responded instantly. Too late. Popcorn's already popped. The next morning, Jake tried to play public relations manager. He posted on Facebook. Sometimes people sabotage others because they can't move on from the past. Some of us are trying to start new chapters. Thank you to everyone who's still in my corner. It got 6 likes. 3 from old college friends. 2 from cousins I hadn't seen since middle school. And 1 from Mom. That's when the extended family started crawling out of their holes. You guys need to talk. This isn't worth tearing the family apart. So what? It was just a wedding. I deleted the family group chat. I wasn't going to play the role of the bitter sibling who eventually came around. There was no coming around. There was only out. Then I went to the bank. Years ago, Jake and I had opened a temporary joint account to move money around during the early stages of wedding planning. It was supposed to be closed after the first few deposits. But he never closed it. Never removed my name. There was $612 left in it. I transferred it to my personal account. Then I closed his. I didn't do it out of spite. I did it because I was done leaving doors open. Every thread they could use to tie me back into their mess. I was cutting it. My mom tried one more time through my aunt. Your mother says she just wants to talk. She doesn't understand what happened. She's been crying every day. I responded. They called me bad luck. That was their mistake. I was a warning. 3 days later, I got a message from the wedding videographer. He said he'd started reversing charges for post-production edits since the event was canceled. I told him to keep the footage of Jess throwing the bouquet. I figured one day someone would want to see what truth in motion looked like. Then he added, first time I've ever seen a bride publicly cancel a wedding and still look more dignified than the groom. If it's okay with you, I'd like to use that clip in my portfolio. I laughed for the first time all week. On the 6th day, my father called. And, for reasons I still don't fully understand, I answered. Listen, he said, without greeting. Maybe I was harsh. But you think this was the right way? Humiliating your brother? Destroying his future? No, I said calmly. I just stopped financing his fantasy. He destroyed it all by himself. He wanted you there. He wanted me silent and paying for it. Dad was quiet for a second. Then, so what now? You think you're some kind of hero? For once, I said, I feel like a person, one that you don't get to use anymore. Then I added, before he could respond, and the best part. You don't have my card number anymore or my phone. I hung up, then went to settings, blocked him, blocked my mother. Blocked Mark. Jake. The cousins. The aunts. All of them. Then I logged into my banking app. Cancelled the automatic payments on my old card. Requested a new one. Opened a separate checking account. Not for secrecy. For freedom. That evening, I brewed tea, sat in silence, and wrote $12 for 100, not for a wedding, for my freedom. And the next morning, I did one last thing. I sent a message from my old number, just once, to the family group chat before deleting it forever. You said I was bad luck. That was your mistake. I was the warning before the storm. And with that, I turned the number off. No more explanations. No more guilt. No more pretending. Just peace, finally. It's been 3 months. I haven't spoken to my family since I turned off that phone. Not a call. Not a text. Not a happy birthday. Nothing. And it's been the most peaceful, undisturbed stretch of life I've had in years. Nobody asking for help. Nobody crying about rent. Nobody sending me guilt-drenched voicemails about what family means. They finally figured it out. I'm not an emergency fund. I'm not a placeholder best man. I'm not the good son who folds under pressure. I'm done. I go to work. I come home. I sleep like a man who isn't carrying other people's secrets anymore. The nightmares stopped. The headaches vanished. I started cooking again for myself. But I'm not going to lie. There are days when I feel the silence like a wound that hasn't scabbed yet. Then I remember the bouquet, the look on his face, the way Jess's voice cut through the air like a razor, and it heals all over again. Last week, I got a letter, an actual one, in the mailbox. No return address, handwritten. Inside was a folded note, 6 words. You think you won? Watch this. No signature. No threats. Just a flash drive taped to the bottom of the page. Now here's the thing. I almost didn't plug it in. But curiosity is a trait we all inherit, even from the people we swear we've escaped. I inserted it into a secure laptop I keep for sensitive files, the one I used during all the wedding fallout. It contained one folder. Inside, A set of photos. Blurry. Unlabeled. One of them was me at a gas station 3 weeks ago. Another, me leaving my apartment. One more, me sitting in my car, talking to someone through the window. None of them threatening. Just observed. I sat back in my chair. Not afraid. Not shocked. Just curious. Then I clicked the final file. A video. 2 minutes. It was my father. Filmed from his study, like a cheap confession booth. "You think you destroyed me?" he said, not even looking directly at the lens. "You think that wedding was the worst thing you could take from us? I haven't even started." And then he smiled. Not rage. Not hate. A businessman's grin. The kind people give before they offer you something or take it all away. I didn't react. Didn't delete it. Didn't panic. I called someone. Not the police. Not Jess. Someone I hadn't talked to since the very beginning. My grandfather. The one who sat with me on the porch months ago and said, "Let them crawl. Just don't let them forget the mod on their knees." He picked up on the first ring. "You got the drive?" he said before I could even speak. I paused. "You knew?" he sighed. I knew he wouldn't go down quiet. He's too proud. He'd rather destroy everything than admit he was wrong. Then he added, "He sent that same flash drive to someone else. Your employer. Hoping to poison your future." I froze. My employer? The hospital IT firm. Grandpa continued. Didn't work. He didn't realize one of the senior managers is married to Jess's cousin. They saw right through it. Silence. Then he said something I didn't expect. "You want me to end this?" I didn't answer for a while. Just stared at the flash drive still glowing on my desk. And then I said, "No. Let him try again." Why? Because this time, I'm not just going to defend myself. I'm going to build something he can never touch. A week later, I made a decision. I walked into a lawyer's office and opened a file I'd been sitting on for 6 years, a revision my grandfather once handed it but never signed. I signed it with him that day. We finalized it. Sealed it. Filed it. My father. Removed completely. And in his place, the one thing he never thought I'd do, I left a portion to Jess. Not because I owed her, not because we were friends, but because I wanted the next generation of Harris men to know. When you burn bridges for sport, sometimes the ash gets carved into someone else's nameplate. People ask me if I regret anything, if I wish I'd handled things more quietly, more politely, more maturely. I don't. Because maturity isn't silence. It's strategy. And I don't need revenge. I just need them to remember. I was the bad luck, but I was also the alarm. And they slept through the fire. Now, when I drive past wedding venues, I don't feel rage. I feel relief. No one calls me to cover deposits. No one asks me to fly cross-country for guilt-drenched dinners. No one tricks me into being the insurance plan. I live quietly.